I had to first realize what I was doing that was giving you a negative about me, that I didn't love
Perception, yeah.
you or had no care about you. That for me was hard. I'm like, oh, how could that even happen? But I had to look at myself. Well, how have I been responding? How have I been available? How have I nurtured this relationship? Especially we're family, and to me, a family is should be a close relationship. I know it's not for everybody, and I'm still working on some of those areas of my family that have kind of slipped away. But I desire to have that closeness again. So that was the first thing, and that was me, because I get to control how I respond to my family members, the people that God has put around my life, my friends, my neighbors, whatever. So that's just about me. I can't expect everyone else to change so that
Right.
I can like them or interact with them or whatever. So that was the first thing, was figuring out how I was putting off a vibe that was not approachable. And that was hard for me to realize.
Hi there. How's it
Hey,
going?
good morning, everybody.
Welcome to Splintered Brace or Splintered Brace, Splintered Grace. It's going to be one of those mornings, I
It
think.
is. It's Monday. It's Monday.
Welcome to Splintered Grace. My name is Bonnie Violet, and I'm a transgender drag queen, and this is...
Hi, everybody. I'm Tina Frank, and I'm a mature conservative Christian. And just in case you didn't know, I'm also a gardener. So welcome.
Hey.
We're happy to have you guys with us this morning.
Definitely.
How was your weekend?
It was nice. I was trying to think if there was really anything great to report. The weather was kind of like off and on icky this weekend, so just spent a lot of time at home,
I hope that means we'll get some of that icky. We had cooler weather, but it was still nice out. And I don't mind the nice, except for it's February. And, in Arizona, it's going to get hotter quicker, I'm afraid. So I'd like to have a few more cold days. So I hope some of that comes my way.
Right, because you start getting warm by like April, huh? Or
No. We're going to have 80s next week.
Oh, well, hey.
And I'm not ready. I love the 80s. I love the 70s. But I just know that after that, then comes the 90s and the 100s, and I'm not ready for any of that.
Right.
So if I can delay those 70s and 80s, my hope is that I'll delay those 90s and 100s. But anyway,
How was your weekend?
I had a good weekend. I'm blessed because my husband got to have a long weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and he's off today as well. So that's always nice to get to have a little bit of extra time. We're all chasing after the work that we do. So that's been nice. And we've been able to work on some projects at home and do a few extras. So that was really wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah, we enjoy that. Life can be busy sometimes, and to be able to just have a break and work on some things that we want to do, not things that we have to do, it's really just kind of nice.
Definitely. So did you do anything for Valentine's Day? I know some people are calling it different things. There's Valentine's Day, there's Single Awareness Day for single folks. For me, I just call it Love Day. But Day of Love.
I hadn't heard of Single Awareness. That's kind of cool. We don't do much. We did cook something special at home. We're not big on going out to restaurants on Valentine's Day. So we cooked and did something special, but something that we always try to do on Valentine's Day is to not make it about us as a couple, but make it about the people around us that we love. Mm-hmm. So we spent some extra time yesterday just reaching out to people digitally or phone or whatever we could do to just say, hey, we love you. Happy Valentine's Day. Because I remember growing up, I hated Valentine's Day unless it met the certain criteria that I thought it should meet. So I've been trying to break out of that mold the whole rest of my life.
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of nice. And I think some people are surprised by it, and because they're not expecting it. I'll just give you an example if you don't mind. We went to church yesterday. Our church does meet on Sunday mornings. Now we're very conscious of all that. We all have our masks on and we do our social distancing. We want to make sure that we're responsible. But we realize that there are some people that really need to have a physical interaction. Because the digital is really not working for them the way it should. So it creates an opportunity there because not a lot of people come, just a few people that really need to be outside their four walls, I think. But it was cool because we targeted, and I say targeted just because I just wanted to make sure that I wanted people to not feel alone on Valentine's Day, knowing what that used to feel like for me. And so I just made sure that anyone that I knew was a widow, anyone who was a single parent, I went over and I said hello, extra hello, and said, hey, how are you today? It's so good to see you. I don't know. That's just my little part, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's a really kind thing to do. These holidays I think that's why Single Awareness Day is what it's been coined by single people, because it's a day that like you're reminded. Some people are going to take that in a good way and other people might be like a little sad about it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what we did yesterday, and I will say my husband is a mean cook on the grill.
Yeah.
So we were able to score some swordfish yesterday. Oh my goodness, it was so good. Yeah. So we stayed home and we cooked on the grill and enjoyed our beautiful day.
Nice.
And celebrated. So anyway, it was fun.
Nice. Yeah, I just decided it was the day of love, and I was just going to try to like keep that in mind myself. I didn't do a lot of like active like reaching out, but for myself, I just was reminded of like, I don't know, just love and just in general, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I wonder what everyone else was doing. I'm looking at the comments here.
I don't see anybody. Everybody's quiet today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, maybe everyone's off work today, and so they're like sleeping in a little bit. That'd be
right. Doing other things. Cool. Yes.
Yeah. All the President's Day sales. Isn't that today, President's Day?
Oh yeah, it is President's Day. So yeah, and it's like for today too. It's also it's my mother's birthday, and it's my two nephews' birthdays.
Oh yeah, I knew it was your mom's birthday. I forget sometimes with all the little kids we have in our family. How blessed are we?
I know.
And I just lose track sometimes of all the extra birthdays outside of my own little brood here.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So what a day of celebration.
Yeah. You know, Xander will be 6. Wyatt,
oh my goodness.
Wyatt would have been 8, if I'm recalling correctly, and mom's the big 60.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Like I was saying before we logged on or got in, other people's birthdays are starting to have an effect on me.
Right.
I don't seem to care about my numbers personally, but in comparison to the people around me, I'm like, wait a second. If they're 60, that means that I must be, and it's just crazy. And I can't believe those little boys that are so little, that I remember being so little, are 6.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. School? Are they in school? In school?
Yeah.
You know? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Donna.
Right. Happy birthday. Yeah. Anyway. And it is. Yeah. Like I'm going to be 42 in a couple of weeks.
No way.
I know. Right. It's just weird.
Oh my gosh. It is weird.
And it's a weird number. I
don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't know. I just see people the way I see them, you know, and I can't think of you who's 42. Oh my goodness. It's impossible.
I kind of like getting older though. Like as I get older, I'm happy with like the age that I'm at. Like, I don't know why, but I'm just like really good with being in my 40s.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
no, I get it. I'm okay being in my 50s. So
right.
It's just like it's with other people that have those numbers. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right. Yeah. Well, and I'm sure mom's got like, 2 kids my brother will be 40 this year. I think he'll be 40. So
wow.
She's got 2 40-year-old children.
Oh, your mom doesn't look 60. So
no.
Good for her.
Yeah. Yes. So we were thinking we would talk about love. We were thinking, I guess, that we would talk about love. We do have a comment that just came up, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Anita Woodward says, Valentine's was super special as a child. My mother made it super fun for us. We made our own cards out of paper dollies. We made cookies and candies and played games. Growing up in the 70s was awesome. It came full circle for me to do it with my children. And now they're adults, and hopefully they will continue.
That is amazing.
Mm.
I love that. I wish I would have thought of that when my kids were small. We did some other things, but not that much. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, at home, like, I don't know, when I remember Valentine's growing up, it's, like at school, you pass out the little Valentine cards to everyone, that sort of thing. But with mom's birthday being so close to Valentine's, I was always confused, like, which day was which, because sometimes it felt like we celebrated on Valentine's and other times it was not. So I always feel like I get confused every year.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I remember that. Do you remember we used to bring a shoebox from home
Mm-hmm.
so we could decorate it and put all the Valentines in it? I don't think they do that anymore.
Our little mailbox or whatever.
Yeah. I don't think they do that anymore. At least I don't remember my grandkids telling me they've done that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. Anita, what a great memory. What a great tradition to send down the family. That's wonderful.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Well, so what do you think? I think how do we define love? I think that's maybe a good place to start. What does love look like to us? We both had shared previously that love is different for us now as adults than it was when we were kids. What's so different, you think?
Well, I think the understanding that there are different depths and experiences with love. I think when you grow up, maybe when you grow up, or maybe when I was younger, I thought there was only a certain way that love happened and a certain way that love showed up, and so I think, like, this might sound whatever, but I've had many of lovers in my life, like romantic partners, that I would say that I loved them. But I loved them all probably a little differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there is something that's almost more, I don't know. I wonder if every love that we have with another person is different. Like, I wonder if any two loves is the same.
Hey y'all, it's me again, Bonnie Violet. I just wanted to take a second and thank my Patreon members. Patreon members are folks who contribute on a monthly basis anywhere from $3 to $150 a month to support the work of a queer chaplain. Big shout out to Victoria Thompson, Jason Brandt, Brandon Stanton, Kim Silva, Brandy McCarg, Randy Sandknott, Bob Kaiser, Joey Heckmeister, Violet Rhiannon, Gabriel, Jonathan, Petrick, and Todd Atkins Whitley. Thank you so much for your continued contributions. And if you're interested in joining the Patreon, just check the link in the description. Go to patreon.com/Bonnie Violet. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Oh, I guess it depends on where the root of love comes from.
Well, yeah. Well, I feel like so much of love, though, there's like an intimacy to it. There's a sharing, there's a vulnerability. And I think that is probably unique between two people, given their own experiences and how you're going to react to theirs, and vice versa. And so maybe it would make everybody's love unique, like the love that I have with you is different than, the love that maybe I would have with another aunt, not because it's better or worse, but just because we're like two different people.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know.
No, I think that's good. Love is defined by so many, parameters, I guess. People receive it, and I feel sad when people can only define it by an emotion. Mm-hmm. And so what you're describing, I think, is not that, which is amazing, because my definition of love is that it's something that we choose. And just like you and I have chosen to love each other, and the intimacy that we have now hasn't always been our life.
Right.
I mean? So I really think that love is defined first as a choice that we make to include someone else in our life. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. And intimacy comes. And I don't know exactly if this is how you meant it, but to me, intimacy really has nothing to do with love, actually. It depends on the intimacy. There's an intimacy that's an emotional intimacy. There's an intimacy that's about touch. And so I think when we talk about intimacy, we need to define what that is so that when we're talking about love as a whole, the intimacy that comes with it is different, I think.
Yeah. But it's like, there's the touch of the body, but there's also the touch of the heart. There's the touch of the mind. There's the touch of so many other things that I think, that's probably what maybe intimacy is that touch of those parts of ourselves.
I agree. So, but I think sometimes we only pursue the intimacy of the physical touch. And I feel like we can take on that. If we don't have that, then we feel like we're lacking, and that's not true.
Yeah. Well, I think, and that's like, I mean, even though we weren't like as close as we are now, did we stop loving each other? I don't think so. So it's like the way that we
express
love was different, but I don't think that, I didn't stop loving you.
Yeah, I didn't stop loving you either.
Anita had a question. Do we love differently because everyone's personality is different? So we base it off of individual personalities?
I say no. What do you say? What do you think?
I think, I think that, yes, I think it is different a little bit. I think there's a uniqueness to it. Whether or not it's like super different, I do think that there's like a uniqueness to it.
I think the characteristics of our response can be unique, but I think the love in itself is the same.
Right. So love is love.
Yeah, and it's a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And love is something that we pursue, even if we're angry at someone or even if we're offended by someone. We can still choose to love that person and to continue. The relationship may change based on what that looks like. But I say that the love doesn't change. The interactions may change, but the love doesn't change because, just like hugging someone, not everyone likes to be hugged. I'm a hugger, so it's hard for me to understand that. But not everyone likes to be hugged, but I can still love them without that interaction. So, good question, Anita. Thanks so much for that.
Yeah, and she said, I love that emotional intimacy. I need it all. Yes.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes, we need it all. And I feel like, I think I hear a lot of, and I think this jumps a little bit into that, like the need of love or whatever. I recently decided that this year I was going to focus on accepting love in whatever form it comes. Because I feel like I've maybe not allowed myself to receive love because I wanted it to show up in a certain way. And if it didn't show up in a certain way, then it wasn't really love. And I think that there is a nuance because I think sometimes we can experience love or think we're experiencing love and it's abuse. But I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the sense of like somebody loving me, but not being able to, I don't know, like show up for me in a way that I would like, whether it's like, I feel like I can't share all of myself with them, or they're not showing up in my life on the regular, or they're not calling and asking me how I am. That those used to be things for me that would signal to me that you love me. But that's not always, like, if that's all I'm looking for, I'm probably going to like go without, because everyone kind of expresses love differently and differently throughout life too. I feel like there's times when I might be really good at one action to say that I love you, but that action might go away at some point. And that doesn't mean I stop loving you.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of, I don't know, depth to love, I guess.
Oh, I would definitely agree with you there. Now, as I've grown up, from that young kid who thought that love was all about having a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever that was. Um, I realized as I became a believer in Christ that the Bible gives us a great definition of love and how what it's supposed to look like.
Mm.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to share. I pulled a couple of my favorite verses because I share these because this is my testimony. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you looking for what I thought love should look like. How it negatively affected who I was personally. Mm-hmm. And not that pursuit was wrong, but the way, just like you were just talking about, I had a specific idea of what that need to look like. And unfortunately, during times like this, during Valentine's Day and things like that, the world embraces an ideal of what that needs to look like. Yeah. Not their fault. They're just trying to sell some stuff. Totally get it. I totally get it. Yeah. But when we get caught up in all that stuff, it can rob from us. Mm-hmm. Because now we have false ideas of what things should look like. And like you said, we miss some opportunities that were intended for us. So as I became to know Jesus as my Lord and Savior and started to read my Bible, I ran onto this scripture, and I'm going to just share it. I wrote it down because I wanted to say it right, because I'm really good at paraphrasing, and I don't want to do that because I want it to come out exactly the way I received it. So it's in 1 John chapter 4, verse 8. And it says, whoever does not love does not know God. That was hard for me because my definition of love, that put a lot of pressure on me. Yeah. And the rest of that scripture says, because God is love. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've never defined God as love. And as I've grown as a Christian woman, I've always challenged with that. If God is love, what does that need to look like in my life? And it's been amazing to me how not only that changed my perspective. Okay, so you know what? I don't need love from you. I have love from God. And I need to learn how to receive that love from God. And then all these things and this criteria I have doesn't become as important. Now, I'm still going to have to work through some of that stuff because that's just who we are as people. But if I can use that as my baseline and move forward, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how freeing that was. I can't tell you how freeing that was. And then as I got mature, and God trusted me with some other scripture as I was reading my Bible. And I ran on to 1 Corinthians. I think I was probably in the process of maybe even marrying somebody. Because I didn't always have this idea. Love. I knew God was love, but I didn't have all this idea. So it was later in life. So it was 1 Corinthians 13, 4 and 5. And it says, love is
patient.
Exactly right. Love is
kind.
Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. Wow. What a roadmap. Now, if I'm going to say, and I've said this 100 times in our conversations and on the air as well, that I want to be love. I want to love people. So when I say that, this is what I'm saying.
Yep. That's how you do it.
Yeah. And I need to be okay with that. Well, here's the problem. I'm not really great at all these things. So this is an area that I'm asking God to help me to grow in. But to gain some perspective on what love it is, the fact that I get to choose it, because I can choose to serve God or not.
Yeah.
And I get to choose that every single day. I can make a commitment to God yesterday, but I have to renew that commitment today. And if I don't, then I can be outside of what God's love is. And if I'm willing to allow God to change me so that I can show it to you, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks for letting me share. This is my testimony of how I found and realized what God and what love is, so that I found a baseline. And I can't tell you the peace that it's brought me over the years. And then for God to entrust me with, okay, now you have it. Let me show you how to share it.
Right.
And how people to see that in you and be drawn to the fact that you love them. And
Mhm.
all this other criteria aside, if I can do these things, then if I forget to call you, I hope I'll have some grace.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And like for me, it's, part of my process of, God in the beginning, when I first started kind of seeking a relationship with like spirituality and God and higher power concepts, because I was pretty hurt initially. So I had a really hard time um, accepting like your God as like a God in my life. And so in a lot of circles, some people refer to God as good, orderly direction or a gift of desperation. To me, I know I had a moment like the way that God came into my life again, or spirituality came into my life, was because I needed it. Like I needed help and I needed assistance. Like I realized that I just could not do it alone. And there was no need for me to do it alone. So I think and so in the beginning, God for me was just, God was love. So God, if God is love, then everything that is done with love is God. So that was like how I kind of would determine how I would live my life. If God, like if I were to have love, or if I were to put love over this situation, what kind of actions would I take? What would I do? What wouldn't I do? Those sorts of things. So for me, a lot of times still God, or my understanding of God, or my utilization of God in my everyday life, is to kind of filter that, to take love, put it over this situation, and it tells me what I do. And that helps me with politics, that helps me with family, and it doesn't fix it. Like, just because I know what the loving action is does not necessarily mean I'm going to be able to take it. But I feel like that's how God can always be love, in the sense that I can put it on top of something and come out on the other end of it a little bit better if I seek love through that situation.
Yeah, I agree. This is an opportunity for us to grow into these.
Mm-hmm.
And all those things you mentioned about God are all the characteristics of who he is. So every person that said all those things to you is correct.
Yeah.
Something I'm learning and understanding, and you guys feel free to correct me, because I don't think I know everything. But something I feel like I'm learning is that if I believe that God is love, if someone offends me that doesn't know Jesus, or that doesn't believe that God is love, is it fair for me to hold them to the same accountability as I do to someone who says that they know Jesus as their Lord and Savior?
Yeah.
And I really realized that over my life that I have chosen to be offended by people who don't have the ability to love me because they don't understand who God is.
Right. Or they don't have the same language, right? They don't have the same currency or the same ability to connect with you and show you in the same way. I feel like I have a hard time hearing that people don't have capacity to love if they don't have.
They all have the capacity to love.
Yeah.
But the love of God is different than the love of the world.
Right. I hear that for sure.
So for me to hold them to a standard of God's love when they don't love God is unfair.
Right. It's a different understanding of love and how love plays out in the world, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Yeah.
So
yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. And oftentimes the way that I see God is, or the way that I experience God is with my connection with others. I'm reminded of love. I'm reminded of God, higher power, the divine, however people want to label these things or words they choose. Like I often sometimes see glimpses and notice God when I'm in relationship with others, because they reveal it to me. They either reveal it by acting as if for themselves, like for showing love, for showing grace, for showing kindness, for being honest, or people can also reflect back to me how I am living into that as well.
Yeah.
That's
amazing. And I think relationship, like our relationship and the relationships that we have, I think those are opportunities for us to experience love and to grow in love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our capacity for love, I think, needs to be an ongoing growth. You know, we always need to be pursuing an opportunity to grow in love.
Mm-hmm. Looks like my little brother.
Hey!
He popped in here. James says, so if you have no love, is your heart,
If you have no love in your heart,
what does that mean?
what does that mean?
I think that it's a lie in the sense of that I don't think it's true. I think that we do have love within us, but I feel like because we've been hurt, we've been harmed, because we're in so much pain, because we're so disconnected from our heart, that we don't know that it's there. And that's and that I think that a lot of us get to that space where I know that I've been in that space where I've felt like I didn't have any love in me and I couldn't receive any love. And a lot of that had come out of failed relationships, disappointments, times when I failed, times when I didn't show up in a way that I wanted to. And I've just had to kind of like heal some of those things so that I could get to a space in which I could connect with my heart again and allow others to connect with my heart too. So I say that in a lie, in the sense of it's like it can be somebody's experience, so it's real, but it doesn't, like, I think it's in there. It's just being able to find a place in which we could break ourselves open and let some of it out.
And we have to remember that love is stable, you know, and and I say that only because life is unstable. So when we can find that stable space in love, and sometimes it has to be love for who we are ourselves.
Mm.
And if we can find that stability in the love that we have for ourselves, and we can look at that in a lot of ways. I know for me, I had to look at first at, okay, I had to find some stuff in me that was good that I could equate to love for myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's not exactly the long-term goal, but that's a good starting point. Yeah. And if we can find in ourselves some things that we love. You know, I was a single parent for a lot of years, for a lot of different reasons that we don't need to share right now, maybe another time. But there were moments when I felt lost. I didn't feel loved. I was unstable. And I had to remind myself that, okay. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm working hard. I have a desire to do the right thing. But the important thing is that I had to find other people that were already founded and grounded in a love that could share that with me in a positive way, so that I wasn't always looking at what I didn't have and the negatives and the negative experiences that I had had up to that point. And it's really, it's not easy. But I think I think you're right. The love that we think we have, or that we feel, or that we get from the world, is a lie. And if we can find a foundational love that's based on truth, and sometimes it's the truth of what we're experiencing or what we need, I think that's a good starting point. And then to engage other people that have a true, stable, pure love that can help you focus on those things.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like and this is like if I look at my like progression of love was something that I used to seek from others in order for me to feel love. And then I got to a point where, unfortunately, I couldn't get the love that I felt I needed from other people anymore. And I needed to get to a space to where, and then for me, I feel like that's where God came in. That's where I started to experience God, or some sort of spirituality, something outside of myself that wasn't people, because people will let you down. People will hurt you, and so that's just the reality of it. So, I mean, I really only have a higher power, a belief in something outside of us, because God, I just hope that it's there, because I can't rely on us to like always make me feel full of love or whatever, and then I feel like once there was that process, now I'm at the place where I can love who I am. I can love everything about me. And now I'm at a space again where maybe I can trust loving others and receiving their love as well. So, I mean, I feel like that's just been my trajectory of like going out and then hiding it or not getting it, and then going to like something bigger than me, which was drugs and alcohol for a while. And eventually it became God, and then now I'm just kind of working on me. And now I have been working on me. And now I'm at that point where I'm actually trying to connect with others.
Be a vessel. Yeah. Be a vessel. Be a vessel of love for the people around you.
Anita says, it's hard to let love in when you have built a barrier made of past heartaches.
Yeah.
Also even harder to let love out.
That's good. Agree. That's good. That's a good, strong word, Anita. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Well, and I think often what it takes is a breaking. And it's not a breaking apart. I think a lot of times, the gift of desperation, they've said, I had to reach so much pain and so much, and I don't know if it has to be this way, but I had to reach so much pain and feel so like uncertain and whatever for me to kind of break. And oftentimes I felt like I was breaking apart, like I was falling apart, but this was actually breaking open. And I was breaking open in a way in which I could let something else in that I couldn't do before, but I had to break in order to like let something in. And so I don't hope that that's not the process, that we have to like break and be in so much pain. I don't know,
sometimes I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
And it's you're right. It's no fun.
Bug says finding your tribe is amazing. Yeah. And then Marcus, hey sis.
Hey Marcus.
What were you doing when you felt passionate and alive?
Most passionate and alive. Mm. Do you want to go first?
You go ahead.
Okay. Well, to me, passion doesn't have anything to do with love. Passion is a fruit of love. When you find that right person or the right group of people, because I can be passionate about a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. So to me, passion is not love. I can be passionate about what I do for a living. I can be passionate about, feeding the homeless. So for me, passion is a fruit of love. Mm-hmm. So when I find that I'm the most passionate and alive, it's actually when I'm doing and fulfilling the purpose that God's given me. And that would be for me, not only loving on my family and those people that God's puts close to me, but being able to use my gifts and talents inside my church, or when I'm in a praise and worship session at church or with other believers where we're just pursuing who God is. That's when I find myself the most passionate and alive.
Yeah.
And also more willing to do the hard stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's easy to do that when you're feeling the passion and you're feeling the life. You can kind of push through some of those more challenging things.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing I think about, like when you felt most like alive, and for me, I feel like oftentimes I use the terminology, and a lot of queer folks do, the idea of getting my life or getting life from something. So when I feel like whatever I'm doing is causing me to lift up and causing me to be excited about living and life and being a part of the world. And, the first things that kind of come to mind for me was, I used to really love dancing on the dance floor. Mm-hmm. And that was a time that for me, I felt like I was really alive and I could just let loose. And at that time, drugs were a part of that, but because it allowed me to just kind of let go and just be free and just live my best life and do whatever felt good in that moment. And I can still do that now without like drugs and alcohol, but for whatever reason, I needed something to knock me around a little bit so I could just open up and not be so uptight, and just kind of be loose. So, I mean, I feel like, and I like being able to connect with somebody in a really meaningful way, like that gives me life. That helps me gives me a passion to want to do more of something or as well. So one of the things that came up for me, Marcus, how about you? Do you want to share what you were doing when you felt most passionate and alive? But as we maybe wait for that answer, I was curious, does love hurt?
Are you asking me or are you asking everybody?
Yeah. Does love hurt?
Oh, sure. And I think
Does love have to hurt?
I think, yeah, I think so. And when you say hurt, I think there's different levels of hurt. I think with love comes accountability.
Mm.
And so I can lovingly hold you accountable, just like you can lovingly hold me accountable, but I'm not going to be comfortable in that accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be even something, and you probably experienced that when you started deciding that you didn't want to do drugs and alcohol anymore. There was an accountability piece that you had to go through, but it was a loving accountability. But it wasn't fun. It hurt probably, and it was hard. And it took relationships away because you didn't want to have those relationships around you that were going to engage in those things you didn't want to anymore. So yeah, I think so. And even after we've worked through some of that hard stuff, if we're truly in pursuit of our best, the best person that we can be, the best creation that God created, there's going to be some more of that has to happen because none of us are there yet.
Yeah.
So I say the short answer is yes.
Right.
The hope and the encouragement is that God has promised that He'll be with us every step of the way. So as hard as it is, His baseline of love is always going to be there and ready to fill in those spaces as we'll allow it and as we tap into it.
Right. Like love is a sense of like the hurt for healing. I think, and so I think that's the thing that we learn I think that is told to us is that love is just easy. It feels great all the time. It's like, you know what I mean? And so I think love does hurt, but love is also not abusive. So I think that's also something to kind of keep in mind too, is that, because you're in pain in a relationship or situation doesn't always mean it's okay. Is it a pain that's helping you heal? Is it a pain that's helping you grow? Is it a growing pain, or is it, not good pain?
Exactly. No, exactly. And that's, I think, a discernment that we all build as we come to those places. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I feel, like there's a part of me that like wants to be like, do we have to hurt to heal? Do we have to be in pain do we have to suffer in order to like experience gratitude and joy? And you know what I mean? Like, it feels like I've had to have those experiences in order to have those other experiences, but it's like, there's a
shorter route.
Yeah. Well, I will say though, it seems like I have less of a tolerance as I get older. So like I have a less tolerance for pain. So I can't do a lot of the same things that I did before because I just can't deal with the pain. And like I get hurt a lot easier, which is helpful because then it causes me to stop that thing or to change my direction a lot sooner. And at first it felt really weird because I used to just like do shit and get over stuff. And it was just like, whatever. And now it's just like, it's sometimes harder. I'm almost more sensitive, but that's a gift. It's a way of my body and my spirit telling me that there's something not well here. Like make some adjustments, do something different.
Yeah. That's called becoming a mature person.
Right. Well,
it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, my hope is, I feel like, I'm like a big fan of like the kingdom of God. Like we're trying, like the idea of getting to heaven without taking anyone else with me. Or I also feel like part of the goal is to create heaven on earth as we live as best we can. And as humans live longer, we pass on hopefully to the next generation, a little less pain and a little less struggle so that hopefully maybe they will be able to experience love. Maybe they won't ever need to be healed. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Wouldn't that be interesting? Yeah.
Marcus has a comment. Marcus says, showing acts of kindness without recognition, humility at its best.
Agreed. Good wisdom, Marcus.
Yeah. Humility is such a, one of those words. It's one of the $1 million words that can be interesting to define.
It's right up there with submission, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think humility, though, gets I'd say bad rap. I think that some people only take their understanding of humility so far. I think a lot of people see humility, I will say I thought I was humble because I wore cheap clothing. I didn't try to make too much money. You know what I mean? Like I stayed humble in the sense of I stayed small, or I tried to stay small and try not to be bigger than I was. Humility is about being right sized. And sometimes that actually means that you're meant to be bigger. And stepping into that bigness.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who says words like that.
Right. But that's also humility. Like that's the other side of humility, is being able to step into that bigness. And in that bigness, for me, that's where God is. You know, like I can only fully be in my bigness when I am when it's not just me, basically.
That's right.
But I feel like that's where I'm called now, is to try to be in bigness. And it's not in a bigness as in taking up more space. It's just like,
it's in fulfilling the purpose God intended for you.
Yeah. Well, and even if I think about it, it's just being more integrated, being more connected with my whole self instead of parts of myself. And that doesn't make me physically bigger, or like, but it makes me more connected with myself, which allows me to experience myself more fully.
Okay.
Right?
I
She sometimes just gets on these things.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm not sure I was tracking completely, but
right.
It sounded really great. I'm sorry. I was like, I think I'm too simple-minded for but I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I had never considered it, and I lost track of it. So no offense. I was just like, I'm not sure what they're saying.
What is she saying? Play back that tape.
Yeah, we'll be listening to that later, going, okay, go deeper for me, because I'm just not sure I don't understand. So anyway, that's awesome.
Well, Liz says, hi, tuning in for a second. Love y'all. Hi, Liz. Love you too.
Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you.
I guess in the idea of humility, of stepping into like a bigness, is also just fuller. Like, and for me, like, I think it's around being integrated, because there's been parts of my life where I've only lived in a part of myself. Like I've focused on, say, my sexuality, or I focused on my spirituality, or I focused on my job, and those are just things that are coming to mind. But like getting to a space where you can have all those things at the same time, and that you don't have to not do one with the other. Does that make,
Yeah, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, because I want to be all of who I am wherever I am. I don't want
to integrated.
Exactly, which is also integrity, right? It's a whole nother big word.
Lost in that last flow. So but thank you for taking the time to explain it to me, because I understand now.
Okay. Yeah, there was a little bit of like a disconnection there for a second, but
yeah, I had a buffering on my screen. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep talking.
For sure.
So awesome.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on love? I desire it.
I think we all desire it.
I even desire a romantic love, which is something that I kind of gave up on. And so, and just because I have the desire for it doesn't mean it's going to happen. But I realized that, and maybe it's kind of a little bit of like what James was saying, in that idea, like I gave up on the idea that I could have the romantic love because I'd been hurt so many times. I'd felt like I was unlovable. I'd felt like I couldn't show up in a way that somebody would love me in a way that I would want, which was all, it's not true, but that's what I had to tell myself in order to be okay with not having it, you know? And once I've been able to kind of get to myself and reveal, I can say, you know what, I do have the desire to have romantic love. And maybe that'll happen. And I believe that because I'm open to it, it's more likely to happen than if I'm not, which makes total sense, right?
Yeah.
But it took me a little while to just admit that, yeah, actually I do want to experience romantic love. I don't need it. I would like it. And that's okay. Because I think there was also a part of me that thought it was not good to have that kind of a desire.
Yeah, see that. I'm glad
which is sad.
That is sad.
It's sad to say, but like it's sad for me to think about that now. But it was where I was at. So
I get it. Well, just let me encourage you and anyone else who's listening. With all these things available for on how to find that perfect someone, I just really believe and it happened to me. Pursue the thing that God's put in you, and that person will present themselves in the middle of it. I really feel like sometimes when we're out seeking that outside of what we do normally, that sometimes we get someone who doesn't enhance us. We get someone who competes against us.
Yeah.
And I really think that when we come together in unity as a couple, especially, that we need to be with someone who champions the things that are in us. They don't have to be exactly like us. They don't have to have the same dreams and hopes, but they're going to champion that in us. You're in turn going to champion that in them. And together, those dreams are going to come together, and they're both going to be intertwined and successful as you come together as a unit. So I just encourage you and anyone who's listening, don't look outside your normal, passionate life that you have and those things that you desire and are pursuing to find that person, because that person's going to be right in front of you when you're ready. Like you said, you may not have been ready, but now you can actually say it. You can actually give voice to it, and you're okay if it happens or not. To me, that's like, okay, that's definitely an opportunity or a sign that you're ready to move forward with a healthy, strong relationship with whoever meets that criteria. I hate the criteria, but
yeah, no, I know what you mean though. Yeah, it's like I'm able to receive a fuller, again, it's kind of like I've settled for plenty of not so great romantic relationships, and it's not a value statement really. It's just like I'm looking for something different to experience now than what I have in the past. Anita says, ugh, I don't want to leave, but I have to go to work. I'm so grateful to be a part of this discussion. Thank you for spreading your love. This is what my heart needs to progress. Better than therapy. Big hugs from snowy Idaho.
Thanks, Anita. Have a wonderful day at work. We appreciate you.
Yes, and thanks for joining us. We're here every week, every Monday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. There, we got that like right in there, right?
That's so funny.
Right. Or if you miss us, you can always watch us afterwards on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, or listen to us on a podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts at. Splintered Grace. There, I got it in.
You got it out. So now we don't have to say the thing.
You don't have to say it anymore.
Awesome.
All right, we have just about 9 more minutes. So did you have, I think you had said you had something you wanted to bring up toward the end. Is it too soon for that, or?
Oh, maybe. It's just kind of a random thought I thought I'd share as we're all just going out our day. I don't know. I think it's fun just to have something to contemplate personally for each one of us as we think about love. Love is such an in-depth, I don't know, word, life, culture. I don't know what it is, but love is, I don't know, it encompasses everything. It really, really does. It's something that we all seek. It's something that we all have to offer. And you know what? Let's just think about that for a minute. Just kind of going back, thinking about some of the things we've talked about. We were talking about accountability, and that love can potentially hurt, and that there has to be hurt usually to move forward and grow in love and our ability to love. I was thinking about, I know as a Christian, we're always praying for blessing. We're always praying to move forward, and for these sometimes they're monetary things, sometimes they're not monetary things, they're emotional things or whatever that is. And I'm always reminded that along with blessing comes the responsibility. And I think sometimes when we're pursuing love, or we're pursuing the what we think love is, we forget that there's either an accountability or a responsibility that comes with that love. And we always see the good stuff. You know what I mean? You don't ever see anything bad on a commercial.
Right.
You don't see your cancerous lungs at the end of the tobacco commercial. You just see how all the cool social things that can do for you or whatever.
Maybe the fine print.
Yeah, yeah, maybe the fine print. So I think it's the same kind of thing. It's okay. We should desire and we should pursue those things, but we have to remember that as we're asking for these things, including love, including different types of love, and including just being wanting to be able to give love, like we've already just said that we want to do, there's a responsibility that comes with all of that. And if we want to be blessed with the opportunity or the love or that blessing, then we have to also be willing to take on the responsibility or the accountability that may come with things that are not so wonderful.
Yeah.
So I feel like the church jargon, I know we've talked about Christianese in the past, that the blessing comes with responsibility. And I think it's important that as we represent the cultures that we both live in, that I thought, I just think it might be good to make a point there that pursue the blessing all you want, but also understand the responsibility that comes with it.
Yep.
And you can't have one without the other. And so if you're not willing to walk in the responsibility, there's a good chance you're not going to receive the blessing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of in a lot of the circles I am, in order to keep it, you have to give it away.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
It can't be just yours to keep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother topic.
Right. Well, but for me, I feel like that's what like spirituality is all about. It's like that's kind of like the action, right? But yeah.
It's not about us. That's how I wrap that up. Oh, my life is not about me.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to think it is.
Right. But you are a part of that.
Oh, I'm a necessary part, or God wouldn't have created me.
Right. Yeah.
But if I live only for my self-indulgence or self-love, to put it in context here, then I'm not honoring the creation that I am.
And the other way that I think is sometimes, and this is just another way of us being selfish or full of self, is like, I think sometimes we might think that we're doing something for everybody else at the price of ourselves. And that really is also selfish, actually. It's just the other side of the coin.
Yeah, that's good.
So we can either be so selfish that we're like loving ourselves and doing all of our stuff, or we can be selfish in the sense that we're just doing something for everybody else and we're not attending to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're
offended by it.
Totally. Well, we're seeking. Yeah. It gets like that balance.
Yeah, it's not easy, and it's crazy because you think you're on the balance, and all of a sudden it's like, whoop! It's like crap. You gotta get back on again. It's like, oh, I gotta find that balance again.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know whoever said that Christianity was boring. I seem to have a lot of adventure in my life. I'm sure it sounds like you've had a lot of adventure in your life to get to this point.
Yeah,
and to be able to move forward. So it's amazing.
Well, and I think just like everything, it's all how you use it and how you, it's all how you use it, right? Because plenty of people use Christian language and Christian things to be harmful, not only to other people, but even to themselves, and so it's all kind of how you use it.
You're right. It's like anything that we have in front of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always challenge people when they say, oh, social media is bad. I'm like, what's so bad about it?
Yeah.
It can be bad. It can be good. Just like anything that we have. Same thing with money or possessions or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It can be bad or it can be good. It's how
I feel like it's better to like, I think a lot of things are created and for us for a reason. So I think we're better off trying to find the goodness and work through work through the better parts, if you will, or finding that, I don't know. I don't think getting rid of something completely is usually helpful. It's figuring out how can this thing be of use instead of
in a positive way.
Exactly. How can this be useful rather than, causing harm with it or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it just being taking away from. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So we are right at the end. I was thinking, what do you think about talking about fear next week?
Oh, okay. I think that's a great topic.
Yeah, fear. It's exciting and yay, right? Happy topic. Fear.
Yeah, it's another one of those words like love. So yeah, it'll be great. I think
All
you'll be great. So if you guys want to give us some feedback on your fears for next week, we'd love that. Give us an opportunity to, I don't know, just know how to engage, know how to start the conversation, and what kind of things you'd like to talk about. That would be amazing.
For sure. Come with prepared questions about fear or share something that you're going through. That would be really great. Yeah. So do you want to say goodbye?
Yep. So as we close out today, I just want to leave everyone with the random thought on love. So something I've learned over time, and I think it's something to be considered, is how do you define love? Is your love about you, or is it about the people around you? If it's the latter, I found personally that the first part of that statement is fulfilled. So have a blessed week, and think about it.
Awesome. Keep it in our meditations. All right. And we'll play that outro. Love you, everyone.
See you, everybody.
Splintered Grace Podcast is brought to you by a queer chaplain. Follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at a queer chaplain. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Feel free to tip us at Venmo, Bonnie Violet, and support monthly on Patreon. The song is original by Steven Sandnoff, The Chasm Between Us. Rest in peace, Steven.
Hey, how's it going? Bonnie Violet here. I'm a trans femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist, and digital chaplain. And in case you didn't know, I could really use your support. Engage, rate, subscribe, follow, comment, share this episode, book me to keynote, panel, guest on your show, or officiate your wedding or memorial, in or out of drag, collaborate, join the team, be a guest, make a pitch, sponsor an episode, join my Patreon, send me a tip on Venmo or PayPal. Just do something. Thank you so much for your continued support. Check out the links in the description.